The best DSLRs are still great cameras to buy today. With bigger bodies, better battery life, and a huge range of lenses, the best DSLRs are not that far behind their mirrorless counterparts. Even today, many DSLRs include modern mirrorless features such as 4K video, on-sensor phase detect autofocus, and effective live view modes. Number 1. Nikon D850. APS-C format DSLRs like those earlier in our list offer a decent compromise between features, quality, and price, but professionals will demand a step up in image quality, and that means a full-frame DSLR. We found the Nikon D850 an expensive camera, though prices are falling, but with capabilities that put it in a class of its own. Its 45.7MP resolution is spectacular. It has a 153-point autofocus system and can capture images at 7 frames per second, or 9 fps with the optional MB18 battery grip. Amazing video features also make it one of the best 4K camera. Opens in new tab choices around. Though the newer Nikon D780 opens in new tab would be a better and cheaper choice for videographers. We know the Nikon D850 doesn't have the new Nikon D780's hybrid on-sensor autofocus technology, so its live view autofocus speeds are relatively pedestrian. But we don't find that much of a handicap for measured professional photographic shoots, and it scarcely puts a dent in the D850's all-round appeal as arguably the best DSLR of all time for professional photographers. It looked spectacular when it first came out in 2017, and it looks just as good today, but cheaper. Number 2. Nikon D780. The long-awaited upgrade to the much-loved Nikon D750 certainly didn't disappoint us. The Nikon D780 includes the same on-sensor phase detection autofocus as the Nikon Z to give the same mirrorless live view performance, a great advantage for stills photography and especially for video. Admittedly, Nikon was a bit slow off the mark as Canon has used its own dual-pixel CMOS AF in its DSLRs to do the same thing for years. However, the D780 doesn't just have advanced live view AF, it also comes with a high-resolution tilting touchscreen display, 4K UHD video, dual Roman II compatible memory card slots, and continuous shooting speeds up to 12 fps in live view mode. Combine that with its solid design and comfortable grip, and you've got a camera that's an instant classic. Number 3. Pentax K-1 Mark II. Pentax seems to soldier along in its own little bubble, seemingly unaffected by outside events. So we found the Pentax K-1 Mark II typically solid but unadventurous in its specifications when we reviewed it. It does have a tough, weather-sealed construction, and a highly effective sensor shift image stabilization system that works with any attached lens, unlike competing Canon and Nikon DSLRs, which do not have in-body stabilization. Better still, the 5-axis stabilizer can work in trig modes to deliver anti-aliasing correction, an increase in fine detail and texture based on pixel shift through multiple exposures, and even an astrotracer mode to avoid stars appearing to streak through the sky. With a 36MP full-frame image sensor, the K-1 Mark II certainly gives you a lot of megapixels for the money, though we think the 33-point autofocus system feels dated, and live view autofocus is definitely pretty poor. For DSLR fans who want big, solid, premium quality, and traditional camera feel, though, we think this camera still has strong appeal. Number 4. Canon EOS Rebel SL3/EOS 250D. There are a few Canon cameras that are cheaper than the Canon EOS Rebel SL3, known as the 250D in Europe, but they lack its features and build quality. You don't have to pay that much extra to have features such as a vari-angle touchscreen, a 24.3-megapixel sensor with Canon's dual-pixel CMOS AF technology which makes the autofocus in live mode really fast, just like a mirrorless cameras, and guided screen options to help you learn. It's also capable of 4K video, so if you think you might want to have a go at filmmaking, this may be better for you than the Nikon D3500. Having used Canon's cheapest DSLRs, Canon, we think the EOS Rebel SL3/250D is definitely worth the extra. Number 5. Canon EOS 90D. We spent some time testing the Canon EOS 90D and we are convinced this is the best Canon camera. Opens a new tab for enthusiasts. It arrived with groundbreaking specs that no other camera in this category can match, and packs in an amazing 32.5 million pixels, the highest yet for an APS-C camera. Though you shouldn't expect to see any obvious and instant benefit in image quality, it all depends on the lenses, and the 18-135 kit lens supplied for us to use is not one of Canon's best. Instead, Revel in this camera's tempts continuous shooting capability in its uncropped 4K video capture, a consumer-level Canon that finally doesn't reduce the angle of view for 4K video. What's more, with its flip-out screen and dual-pixel CMOS AF, it's just like using a mirrorless camera in live view mode. Number 6. Nikon D7500. Despite being released 4 years ago, we still think the Nikon D7500 deserves recognition as one of the best DSLRs for enthusiasts. Even now, it's a decent all-rounder and Nikon's equivalent to the Canon EOS 90D. It offers a slightly faster continuous burst shooting speed at 8, still lacks the resolution of the 90D. The 51-point autofocus system is reliable and it has the ability to record 4K video. It has a tilting rear screen rather than the fully articulated design on the EOS 90D and relies on slower contrast AF in live view mode. But if you do most of your shooting through the viewfinder, these will be small points. Nikon fans who like sports photography might also want to take a look at the Nikon D500. Opens in new tab, but this is a much more expensive camera and it's growing harder to find. DSLR fans should know that there are still great DSLRs around, and our time with the D7500 has convinced us that this is one of them. Number 7. Nikon D3500. The Nikon D3500 was launched in 2018 and even today, it's a popular camera among newbie photographers. We love it so much we rate it as one of the best Nikon cameras. Opens in new tab and one of the best cameras for beginners. Opens in new tab. That's because it features a handy guide shooting mode which acts as a tutorial and teaches the user how to use the camera via the LCD screen. The D3500 has a 24-megapixel sensor that's able to deliver super sharp images even with the 1855mm kit lens, which is also pretty good. Although the rear screen is fixed and it can only shoot up to full HD and not 4K, the fact it's easy to use, cheap, small and light will make it appeal to a beginner. While it may not have all the features of a mirrorless camera, we can't help but think all the thrills and frills are sometimes a bit much if you're just starting out. And at this price, nothing is quite as good. Number 8. Canon EOS 6D Mark II. The Canon EOS 6D Mark II has been out for a while now, and while its specifications are hardly cutting edge, this is still a powerful and versatile DSLR for photographers taking their first steps in full-frame photography. Most important of all, we think it's versatile, extremely well-designed and straightforward to use. The 26-megapixel sensor is good rather than great, but it does have Canon's dual-pixel CMOS AF system, so the live view autofocus is very fast and effective. The 45-point viewfinder AF system is pretty good too, although the focus points are all clustered towards the center of the screen. The EOS 6D Mark II can capture images at 6.5 fps in burst mode and has an extremely useful vari-angle touchscreen display. It has been upstaged somewhat by the newer Canon EOS RP and Canon's other mirrorless models, but it's a solid buy that's cheaper than the Nikon D780. Below, number 9. Canon EOS 5D Mark IV. Released in 2016, the Canon EOS 5D IV is still a popular camera among professional photographers. We like it too, but we have to admit that it's showing its age both for resolution and its cropped 4K video. Compared to the Nikon D850, its resolution might seem pretty average. But for lots of photographers, 30 megapixels is more than enough and you can shoot 4K video with this camera too. But the format used means the files it outputs are good but massive. The EOS 5D Mark IV features Canon's dual-pixel CMOS AF, which means users benefit from fast autofocus performance in live view and video modes. It's robust, reliable, and weather-resistant, which is a major plus for pro photographers. Sadly, Canon has shifted almost all its attention to its new EOS R range of mirrorless cameras, so we don't know when, or even if, we will ever see a successor to the EOS 5D IV. Number 10. Pentax K-70. The K-70 is ruggedly built to a semi-pro standard, and with its smart design features, the K-70 is probably the best all-round Pentax camera enthusiast photographers can buy right now. Yes, we have reviewed the much newer Pentax K3 Mark III, but for us, the K-70 is a high watermark for Pentax DSLRs, and it's the one we would choose today. Unique amongst Pentax DSLRs, the K-70 uses a combination of phase detection AF and contrast detection AF when shooting using live view. The 24MP resolution is still competitive today, and the flip-out vari-angle screen actually makes the K-70 feel very modern. The only thing missing is the 4K video, And we have to admit the 480-shot battery life was a little disappointing for DSLR and made us shoot more cautiously on a day out in London. On the other hand, there are lots of Pentax lenses to choose from, so although the Pentax brand no longer has quite the same clout as Canon or Nikon, it's still a significant force in the DSLR market.